Amen.
As well as our facilitators. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor Sanders. All right, I want to thank everyone for coming on. If you would just, I'm going to unmute everyone here, and if you would just tell us your name and where you're located, we'll just go ahead and start from there. Don't be shy.
Ruth for King, Texas.
All right. Welcome.
You.
All right. We have one other person that has joined us.
Ken, I'm saying that we have 4 that have joined us.
Yeah. All right. Well, we will go ahead and move forward. Some people just may be wanting to listen. All right. So if you have a question, just go ahead and you can use the function on the right of your screen. You can raise your hand. You can send a question in to myself and Pastor Sanders, and we'll be able to answer those questions for you. All right, so we know that there are going to be some more people that are going to be jumping on, so we want to go ahead. And one thing I will let you know that we are recording our presentation this evening for archive on our website later. All right, so let us go ahead and begin. So the Tour de Youth, it is 258 days away. 258 days away. And it is our ride from Dallas to San Antonio, and it is going to be an incredible ride. And so we want everyone to experience it and have a good time. We had a video that was created from one of our rides, and once again, if you have a computer, you'll be able to see this. Even if you're on a smartphone, you should be able to view this if you're able to see the slides. So I'm going to go ahead and play this, and we want this to get the sound up here so that you can see it. Wow, I'm excited. I'm excited every time I see this video, and I don't know how many times I've seen it, but I just get really excited about what we have planned and what we're going to be doing in 2015. So let me give you the agenda of what we're going to be talking about tonight, and we're going to kind of go through this fairly quickly. Yeah, and once again, I will let you know you can ask questions at any time during our presentation. So we're going to talk about, first of all, what is the Tour de Youth, TDY? Why is this event so important? And how is the Tour de Youth going to benefit my church, my community, my school, or my young people? The dates, we're going to talk about the route. We're going to talk about the cost, who can get involved. We're going to talk about how you can promote and support and contribute to the Tour de Youth. And also we're going to talk about sponsorship as well as the marketing for this. So what is the Tour de Youth? Well, It's funny you should ask. So the Tour de Youth is a year-long education, fundraising, and health awareness program. Um, my slide went too fast. All right. Let's try this one more time. All right. So it is a fun and fitness activities. It is a life-changing event. It is a team effort, and it is doing something for a cause. Now, here's what I mean by this: a year long. We started the Tour de Youth with a goal in not just having an event that leads up to the General Conference session in San Antonio next year in June, but we wanted something that was going to continuously promote health at the same time by raising funds for worthy student scholarships for students for summer camp as well as for school. So what did we decide to do? We said we needed to do something periodically throughout the year so that it continuously goes. So we implemented some fun and some fitness activities, and we'll talk a little bit about those. Before, we had one that was um, it was a 52-mile bike ride for Let's Move Day, September 21st. And then we implemented our school program for all of our students to get involved in it. And then we also implemented a program that's going to be starting actually this Saturday night. The Biggest Loser. We're going to be giving away $1,000. And maybe some other prizes for the team of 3 people that loses the most percentage. So we're trying to do things that are going to continuously promote health throughout the whole year. So that's why it takes us to the next part: life-changing event. Let me tell you something. When you get into fitness, and it doesn't matter what body type you are, what level you start, a little bit of movement can make a big difference in the life uh, of any individual's lives, make a big difference. And it's also a team effort. One of the things that we want to do is we want to come together as a team, and we want to do things as a team. And those teams can be all around the United States, all around the world, all around the conference. But the goal is doing something for a cause, doing something for the cause. And the cause that we're focusing on is our young people. And also, when it comes to our young people, their health, as well as adults and their health, and as well as the education for our young people. All right. Any questions about those things that we just talked about? Does anyone have a question on those? All right. Gonna move right along here. So, what it is not. All right. It is not a single event. We talked about that it's a year-long thing. It's not a one-man show. Trust me. When I'm on my bike, I would rather be with someone else. So it's not a one-man show. It is also not, in the planning stages of it, it is also not a one-man show. Though there is a lot of things that need to be done, I always work better and always function and always feel better when there's a team, because I may overlook something, I may not see something, and I can always bounce it off of Pastor Sanders, and Pastor Sanders will take a step back and look at it. We can also bounce it off other individuals, and everyone that's involved in this becomes a team for this event. The other thing is that this event is not for the casual rider. What I mean by this is that if you ride around your neighborhood, with your kids or your friends, and you're just kind of strolling and just kind of having a good time, this is probably not the event for that. I mean, you can continuously do the things throughout the year for your health, but the Tour de Youth, this is not a casual cycling event. Um, it is not a weekend warrior program either. So if don't do like I did and go out and play football and blow your Achilles tendon. That's what I mean by weekend warrior. You go out, you do this, and on Monday morning you're in the doctor's office and they're asking you, how old are you? Why are you still trying to do certain things? So this is not a weekend warrior program. What it is that if you start and you continuously work at it, you continuously ride and continue, by the day we step off, June 28th, you'll be ready for this ride. So this is not something that you prolong and you put off for, months and months and months, and at the last minute you cram. This is not an exam you want to cram for. And the other thing is that it is deeply personal, and it is a life-changing opportunity. What I mean by that is it will change your life. It will drastically give you a focus. It will give you, health wise, it will literally, I've dropped weight. I've got all my suits having to be tailored. I'm sleeping better. I'm thinking clearer. I'm more mindful of what I eat, more mindful of what I drink, more mindful of where I go and do certain things, and mindful of how much sleep I get. So it is a life changing experience. All right. There is a quote that I want to share with you. Time and health are two precious assets that we don't realize and appreciate until they have been depleted. We don't realize our health. We don't realize the importance of it. We don't realize how time, the importance of those things. All right. So, why is this event so important? Here it is. Um, I've got a personal story. It's called My Frustration. And it's two parts. The first part of it is this. When I register my kids for school in the academies, um, I'm always keenly aware, being a former teacher myself, when there's students and parents that can't afford to send their children to a quality uh, education. They just can't afford. They want to do it, but they just can't afford, and they have to leave out. And sometimes the kids are crying, and so I really felt like I had to do something. And so it is time that we take Adventist education seriously here in the Southwest, and we also provide a way of trying to raise money to support it. And so our goal is to raise $300,000 for worthy students scholarships, so students can have an opportunity to go to a quality school. And while they're there, they will learn about something else that is very important, and it is a growing problem here in the South with our adults and our youth, and that is obesity and unhealthy lifestyle. Um, and what is the best way in which to do this and have a goal in which to go and do it? Well, it's our general conference session where there's going to be over 100,000 attendees in San Antonio. We will have the opportunity to ride from Dallas into San Antonio the day that GAC begins. All the media is going to be there. That's probably really the only day that they're going to be there. And they're going to see these riders coming in from all over the place, and we've asked all of the communication directors from all around the North American division to share the story, to share this opportunity with individuals that may be riding from as far as Mexico, as far as California, as far as Canada, because there's always someone that wants to ride in. And we're going to give them an opportunity. They can ride in with a group, with us. They can come, start with us. They can do the last 4 or 5 days with us. They can do the last day with it. It doesn't matter. This is not a something that we're saying, no, you didn't start with us, so you can't finish with us. No, we're saying this is a big stage in which we can do this, and it only happens every 5 years, and so we want to capitalize on that. And here's the reason why. I want to show you some statistics here. Growing problem in the United States. Many of you may be aware of this. Those red states don't mean that they're hot. Yeah, we know that the temperature may be hot, but it means that they are getting to the point of obesity, very, very high levels of obesity. So you see that Louisiana is 31.2%, Oklahoma is 30%, Arkansas is 30.1%. These are all areas in our territory, and Texas is not far behind. Louisiana, Mississippi, Arkansas, all of these areas. We've got out of the 5 states in our conference, 4 of them are borderlining obesity and unhealthy lifestyles. That's just talking about the population in the United States, and that's really only talking about adults, because now when you look at children, the trend is continued. Um, Louisiana has 20.1% or more of its inhabitants that are obese. Texas has 15.1% to 20% of the children in the state are obese. This is the problem that we want to address. We want to do something as leaders, we want to do something as pastors, we want to do something as lay people. We want to say, you know what? I may not have $1 billion or I may not have $1 million to give to this cause, but I do have a voice. I do have my health, and I want to use my health to help someone else. And so that's the reason why um, we want to tackle these problems. Two problems: education and health. Those are two problems that we want to address and we want to attack with this event. All right. Now, does anyone have any questions about what we've talked about thus far? Um, if you have a question, just go ahead and raise your hand. There is a little hand thing somewhere, um, because right now everyone is muted. So if you raise your hand, I can unmute you, and you can ask your question. If there are no questions this time, we're going to just continue to move on here. All right. So how is the Tour de Youth going to benefit my church, my community, my school, or my young people? Well, all right. So we've got a question. Hang on. Let me unmute you. All right. Go ahead, Jennifer. Welcome.
Hi. I missed the first few minutes, so I didn't hear when does it begin?
Oh, we're actually going to talk about that right now. In this section here, we're going to talk about the event, but the Tour de Youth, the whole concept of the Tour de Youth actually began with our school program. And did you have another question? Because I'm going to go ahead and mute you if you don't.
No, and just when it's ending, I heard you say that we're going to end at the GC session in San Antonio.
Yes, ma'am. Do you have any other question on
No.
this? Okay. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and mute you back because there is a feedback. That's the only reason. I'm not trying to be rude, but there's just a feedback. And if you have a question, please just go ahead and um, raise your hand again. All right. So the Tour de Youth Bikeathon, we launched this at the beginning of the school year for our 10 schools in our area. The That's launched. So that's part of our program. Then we did our Let's Move 52-mile bike ride in September of this year. We have the Biggest Loser that's starting this weekend at one of our local churches. And then the actual Tour de Youth event that rides into San Antonio begins on June the 28th, which is a Sunday, and it ends July the 2nd at the opening of General Conference session, which is July the 2nd. We will ride into the General Conference session as is during its welcoming opening ceremonies type things. We'll probably get there around 2, 3 o'clock. Now, I do want to let you know that when you look at those dates, June the 28th through July the 2nd, it is summer here in Texas, and if you're here in Texas, you know how hot it can get. And so that's why we're going to start out very early in the morning. And I encourage people to, if you start out early enough at 6 o'clock in the morning, typically you will be done we want to be done by the hottest part of the day, before the hottest part of the day, which is around 2:30. So if we're moving at a really, a pretty good pace, and we will finish well into that time. If for whatever reason we have a spot where something comes up and we're delayed in coming, safety is always the number one priority. Safety is always the number one priority. That's why we're going to, and we'll talk about our support team that we're going to have with us. So this is not just a bunch of people on bikes just rolling down the road. So this is how it actually benefits our community, our church, our school, and our young people. And this is just, we're going to do stuff all the way up until the actual event, probably up until the beginning of June. So there's going to be something going on. It may not necessarily be the actual cyclists involved in it, but we have other people on our team that are doing other things, and they're falling underneath the umbrella of the Tour de Youth. All right. I hope that answered your question on that. All right. So the dates, the costs, the route. All right. So here we go. The dates, we talked about it. June 28th through July the 2nd, 2015. We're going to leave Sunday morning at about 6 o'clock from our headquarters and here in Dallas. And then we're going to arrive in San Antonio Thursday, roughly around 2 p.m., maybe a little bit earlier, maybe a little bit later, roughly around 2 p.m. It is 4 days of riding, and it is a 1 day just in case. So Sunday through Thursday is actually 5 days, but there's 4 days of riding. We're staying in hotels, so we're not doing, tents and, people's floors. No, because we need to be comfortable every night. So we're taking care of it. There's going to be double occupancy, so 2 people to a room. So it's not going to be three, one person on the floor, and then you have to juggle around who's going to sleep in the bed the next night. We're trying not to do that. We have meals prepared, and the meals will be breakfast, lunch, snacks on the bike, as well as dinner. Now, when I say this, the meal part of it, breakfast could be at the hotel, depending on what they have for breakfast. We're not anticipating that it's going to, we're saying that we're going to do a breakfast, but breakfast at the hotel may be one in which it may be a good option. The only reason why it may not be a good option is if it's not opened at the time that we want to eat and we want to go. So what we've done is we've talked to an individual who is a chef, who is also an athlete, and so he has experience on what athletes should eat, um, how their bodies would adjust to and deal with certain meals and certain things. So he has that expertise, so we're happy about that. When I say snacks on the bike, typically you need to be eating something every 20 to 30 minutes while you're riding, especially when you're doing a long ride, because you're burning tremendous amount of calories. So in a given 25 minutes, a good half an hour, you could have burned 300 calories. And plus we're talking about the heat, and we're also talking about, the possibility of dehydration. So we will be drinking and eating and drinking and eating and drinking and eating and drinking and eating, so that we stay hydrated. We're not going to be just drinking water. We'll have water, but we're gonna do electrolyte drinks, things that are designed to help us make the ride. Now, I did most of my training this summer in the hottest parts of the day, and at first I was like, why am I doing this? And then after a while, I started realizing that my body got used to it. And as long as I was hydrated the night before, and as long as I took ate the things that I needed to eat, dealt with anything that came up like cramps and things like that, I was good to go. And so I had a really good, successful summer of riding, this whole summer. Um, we also have support vehicles. So each support vehicle will have a driver and an assistant driver. And right now we're looking at 3 to 4 vehicles. There'll be a vehicle in the front that will lead. It'll either be a motorcycle or a car. Then the next vehicle we will have is probably a 12, or depending on the size of the group that rides with us, we'll have a van with trailer on it, so that just in case we have to, when we at the end of the day, we get to a spot and we have to drive someplace, that we can all get in the van, put our bikes into the trailer, and head on over there to where we needed to go. There'll also be an RV. Now the RV is for our medical and for our medical support staff, as well as our chef. So and those support individuals that will be with us. That vehicle like I said, mentioned before, it's an RV. It doubles up as something else also, because if we're heading down from Dallas to San Antonio, and they tell me that there's a prevailing wind from the south and it's a strong wind, the RV will pull in front of us and it will break the wind, and we will be behind the RV, making our journey to where we need to go. So that's support vehicle. And then we'll have one more vehicle, and that vehicle will either be an SUV, and that vehicle will ride the pace line if it needs to bring us, our water, our food, as we need it on the bike. And that vehicle, the way that vehicle is basically summoned is someone just raises their hand, or someone communicates to the vehicle, hey, we need something to drink. And that vehicle pull up on the side, and you just take it, and then that vehicle will pull back. It'll also, the other vehicle that we will have will also be used in case there's an emergency and we have to get someone to the hospital, or we have to get someone to the doctor, or someplace. That vehicle will be used. Now, in the event there is an emergency, The only emergency that I think that we would actually transport someone is if they get sick, dehydrated, or something like that. If there is an actual, we pray that this does not happen, but if there is an actual collision with a vehicle, another vehicle, or some kind of collision with some obstacle or whatever, that individual, we're not going to move them because we could cause more damage. That's why we're going to have some nurses with us. We may even have a couple of doctors with us as well. But we know that we're going to have at least two nurses. One is an ER nurse and one is a nurse practitioner. They will be with us for this ride. And then lastly, we'll have a media person and a blogger possibly. Oh, and we may also even have a physical therapist, a massage therapist with us to help us at the end of the night to massage. Now, trust me, you may say, well, I'm not going to need a massage therapist. You may need a massage therapist. So if we can get them, we will definitely put them to use. And also, as far as mechanics, I don't know if we're going to actually have a mechanic with us. I think what we're going to do is have everyone have the knowledge, or at least enough people have the knowledge in case something happens. Um, while we're on the bikes, something happens to the bike, something breaks or something. We want to have that basic knowledge to be able to fix it. But if it's something catastrophic that happens to the bike, there's nothing we can do about it anyway. So we want to make sure that we have that knowledge. Any questions about the dates and also what I've just talked about here? All right. If there are no questions, once again, if you have any questions, you can just raise your hand and we'll come to it. All right. So here's option number one. Now, I must say that all of these routes are subject to change because even this weekend we did a ride in Glen Roads. We did 82 miles, and one of the individuals that I was riding with was telling me some of the better ways of getting down to San Antonio would be better than the route that I actually put together. So I'm always open to a better route. So I went to AAA and I got a bunch of maps and I started mapping out um, some different routes. And so right now we have day one. We know that we're coming from Dallas. We're making it at least to Glen Roads or even to Stevensville. It's about 100 miles. Um, Day two, and maybe even a little bit more than 100 miles. Um, Day two is 86 miles. Day three is we have it as a rest day. Day four to Johnson City is 58 miles, and day five into San Antonio, 64 miles. Um, that's kind of like option one, and that's riding every day except one. Option two is riding every single day with an equal amount of miles each day, which is can be between it's going to be between 65 and 75 miles each day. Um, I you know I don't know what is the better one on these two, and so this is the part where I really wanted to get some feedback from everyone. Um, what are they thinking? What is the prevailing um, consensus on something like this? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this up for us to kind of talk about. So I don't know if I should unmute everyone, or if you raise your hand, I'll unmute you, and then if you want to say something about this, what do you think would be the better of the two? Option one, riding. Um, let's see, riding every day except one. So you ride 2 days, rest, then ride 2 more days, or riding every day with equal miles each day. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Anybody want to kind of chime in first? No one wants to chime in? Anyone? Anyone? Pastor Sanders, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm here. I was hoping someone would say something.
Yeah.
Uh, it's the typically you would probably want to ride every day, but it's always good to have a day in between just in case, especially after the first 2 days, which mean most of the ride is over with because the first day is the longest ride, and then the second day will be equally as long, just a little bit shorter. And then it's downhill after day 3, which is the rest day in 4 and 5. But 65 miles, if one has trained, 65 miles will be an easy ride. So both options, I'm favorable for either one, really.
Okay. What I've done is I've closed out my presentation for a second. So here, if you can see the map here, this is I'm using let's see, what is this? This is Map My Ride. Uh, this is Map My Ride, and Map My Ride is one in which you can actually put in your points and actually see exactly how the ride or which way you want to go on the ride. So let me get in here close. All right, so here we are. We're coming out of Dallas, Cleburne. Glen Rose is right here. So you see 80 miles to Glen Rose from Dallas. Then Stephenville is 110. So it's 110 to this point. One of the things that we have to keep in mind is that when we're getting to certain points, we want to make sure that there's a hotel. So there is a hotel in Glen Rose. There is really not much between there and Stevensville. There is a little town called Hyco, but I want to make sure that we can stay at a hotel where we're not going to wake up in the middle of the night screaming because something is biting us. Um, and Hyco is down here. So I want to make sure that we're not, infested with something. So when I passed through Hyco coming back from San Antonio, I saw one motel. I went online, there was a motel, and I'm not really fond of putting individuals in a motel. Um, just bad experiences before. So Stevensville is a bigger town, and it has like a Best Western, it has a Hampton Inn, things like that. So if we make it there, that's going to be a good night's rest. Now from there, the next one is Pass, which is down here, which is about another. When you look at it from this map that I've done here, it's about another 100 miles. And the reason being is because I'm staying off of 281 as much as I can. So we could jump back on 281 coming from here. But the advice I had was, try to stay off 281 as much as you can. So this one comes off of 281 and it kind of goes down. It adds a couple more miles. A straighter shot would be shorter. So what I'm saying is this: we're kind of dictated on where we need to land so that's where we're going to sleep. So that's when we make the reservations. That's why we try to say, okay, this is going to be this amount of miles going there. The other thing is that although the first couple of days are, they're long, the last part of it may be a little bit shorter, but it's not necessarily easier because when we get down to here, Marble Falls, if you look on this map here that I'm seeing here, you're looking at some elevations here. And as I come into Marble Falls, which is about right in this area, our elevation is starting to go up. So right now, this is 13,000 feet of climbing, which means that we're now into the hill country of Texas. And so the total elevation that we're doing is about 14,000 feet of climbing, which put it in terms, even though you're climbing, there are spots in which you're not climbing as much. So when I say this route is not one in which for the leisure rider, I mean, if you started training now, yes, you can be ready for it if you're riding hills. If you're training really hard, to get ready for it. I was a little leery, but after this past weekend, we did 3,400 feet of climbing through Glen Roads. I was a little bit more confident that in 256 days I should be ready. So what I'm saying is that although it may be shorter on the back end, it may not necessarily be easier because there are more climbs. And the climbs are, I always tell people once you go up, you got to come down. So they're not as steep as they could be, but yet it is still climbing. And I try to give the worst scenario. So this is the route that we're looking at. And once again, it's subject to change. Once we get into San Antonio, it kind of drops. So from on the outskirts of San Antonio, it's about 15 miles straight into the Alamo Dome. Um, so if we're thinking about riding every day, it's going to be probably about 75 miles each day. Um, but we're probably going to end up doing is if we ride 75 miles, we're probably going to have to get in a vehicle. So this is right outside of Glen Rose. We're probably either going to have to stay in Glen Rose and then ride another 75 miles to get to our next point, and we may have to drive to our next point just to make sure we get to the hotel. So that's something that we have to take in consideration, because if not, we won't be landing where we should. We still have time to think about it. There are many, many options in which we can look at. So I just want you to put that in your head. Be prepared to ride 65 to 75 miles every day, or do the longer parts in the beginning, have a rest day in the middle, and be prepared to hit those hills coming into San Antonio. All right. Any questions? All right, so here are some conditions, and I mentioned about these before. So it's a moderate to difficult route. What I mean by that is it has hills, what we call rollers. So in other words, even though you may, have to climb to the top, um, hang on for a second. Even though you have to climb to the top, there is always a downhill. Um, and let me okay. So it's moderate. It has some rollers. The flats are short. So in other words, they're flat spots, but they're not, long, 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 long stretches of miles and miles and miles and miles and miles of flat riding. So that's something that you have to consider as well. The other thing is the grade of elevation. Although there are hills, they're not really terribly steep, all of them. So the moderate grade is between 4% to 8%. There may be some in there that are maybe 12, there may be 10, but for the most part, they're gradual grades, and so um, that kind of works in our favor. It is through the hill country of Texas, and if you want to Google that, you Google and you'll find out exactly what the hill countries of Texas is all about. So the cyclist skill level should be of well conditioned. What I mean by that is you should not come out at the last minute saying, "Hey, I'm feeling good. I didn't ride for 6 months, but I'm feeling good now." And that's probably not the best thing. I thought I saw a hand there. Was that Pastor Ming? You had a question?
Yeah, I kind of came in late because I was having problems on the road and stuff like that. So I think I came in about 10 minutes or something like that. So you say we're gonna ride because I haven't started training or anything like that yet. Pastor Jones had spoke to me about it sometime last week, and I decided that I was going to start getting ready for it.
Okay.
So what are some other recommendations you would have for a beginner? Well, I've done a lot of riding back in my day, back in Jamaica and stuff like that. But
Okay.
I would have to probably start afresh and stuff like that. So I'm thinking about getting the bike and all of those kind of things. What would be some recommendation you would have?
All right. So um, some of the recommendations that I would give first of all, you're going to need a bike. That's number one.
Mhm.
So if you don't have a bike, um, any recommendations I give you will not really help out
Right. Right.
until you get a bike. But
Mhm.
in the interim, while you're thinking about getting a bike and while you're planning to get a bike, you can always go and you want to work on cardio and resistance.
Mhm.
You want to strengthen up your quads, your hams, your calves, your core muscles, all of those
Mhm.
things. Swimming, all of those things will help. Now,
Mhm.
um, when it comes to actually the type of bike, we're going to get into that in like a couple minutes. We're
Okay.
actually going to get into the
Okay.
type of bike. Um, so I'm going to go ahead and put you back on mute.
That's all right.
All right. So the other thing is the pace, the well conditioned skill level. When I mean well conditioned, in other words, you're comfortable with riding long distances. And when I mean long distances, some people say long distance is 25 miles. I remember 25 miles used to be long distance. Unfortunately, 25 miles is not long distance for a long distance rider anymore. It's kind of like a warm up. So now you've got to put in like 40 to 50 miles when you go out. What I would recommend is that if you're going to ride, the training schedule that I kind of gave myself is my long days or Sundays. So my real long days or Sundays. So I'll do a long ride on Sunday where I'm on the bike for maybe 4-5 hours on the bike. Because you've got to get your saddle, you got to get your bottom ready for something that long. So 4 to 5 hours you're on that bike. Doesn't necessarily have to be a crushing pace because it's endurance riding, not race riding. So you're getting on there, you're getting a nice comfortable ride, comfortable pace. Then the next day, Monday, maybe a day in which you do a recovery ride. So if let's say you did 80 miles on Sunday, then you'll do 40 miles or 35 or 25 miles on Monday. Tuesday, you may choose something like on Tuesday we kind of do climb. So you want to climb a whole lot. I mean, you want to find some place where there's a lot of hills and you just start climbing. If you're in a place where like Louisiana where there are no hills, then you find some wind. Find a lot of wind, go against the wind, and put it in your hardest gear. Go against the wind. And if you have a place where there may be some overpass and you can do some loops on the overpass that are safe, loop that. Try to not try to kill yourself, but try to get in your comfort zone of climbing. And so you want to climb that. Spinning is good, and that's just spinning your tire, spinning your cadence, spinning your legs. That's good. But if you don't have any resistance, then you're not really building up the muscles that you need. The other thing is our ride. We're doing a group ride on the shoulder and on the road. What I mean group ride is there may be parts in the ride that we're going to set up that we're going to designate as sprint zones, as king of the mountain. And then we're going to have a designated helmet for that individual for the day. If that person accumulates all the points, they keep the helmet after it's all over with, which means that we don't necessarily have to. Um, um, we don't necessarily have to um, stay as a complete group right there and there because there'll be times in which they want to sprint out. But we want to stay closer together just in case something happens. And so we need to make sure that we don't go way far out there. So the skill levels may be different. So we may take a group that go a little bit far out. But we want to make sure that we stay as a group as much as possible. That's why it's important that people train, because if we can keep our speed up pretty well, the 17 to 19 to 20 range, then we're going to be doing all right. Now the other thing is no aero bars during the group ride. We talked about why it's not good to have aero bars, and so what I want to actually show you is here's a video of what it looks like when you have aero bars, and you may not necessarily want to do this. So he's cruising along, and there he goes. So, because he could not get to his aero bars in a group ride, he actually flipped over his bars, and he's probably pretty hurt. So we're trying to say, we don't want you to have aero bars, because if you have aero bars, there's a good chance that you're not going to be able to stop in time. Pastor Sanders, do you want to say something to this? I've got to step away for a second.
Okay. Yeah, arrow bars can be very dangerous. Simply the fact that you are not able to get to your breaks in time. It's a good, I guess it's a good device when you want to get below the wind, but it's not safe when you're riding in a group. Preferably if you're riding by yourself or on the side of someone and you want to use arrow bars, that's acceptable. But when you're in a straight line or in single file, it's not really acceptable. Actually, the person with the arrow bars is more vulnerable because he will be the one that goes down. If you hit the back tire of an individual, you no longer have any control of the bicycle. So that's the reasons why we're not going to allow arrow bars.
All right, I'm back. Thank you, sir. All right. So on this route, we're also going to support two stops, depending on how long the ride is. At the 40-mile mark and at the 80-mile mark, if we have to do more stops in between, then we'll do that. If it's one person that's cramping up, then we'll put them in the RV until they can loosen that up and deal with that. But for the most part, if everyone is feeling good, then we keep rolling. Um, uh, we will have as many stops as necessary, but we also have to remember that we don't want to stop every 5 minutes because then we're going to be creeping into the heat of the day, and then the bodies are going to start deteriorating as the heat starts to come up. So we want to make sure that we're riding through the cooler parts of the day. And if we start at 6 o'clock in the morning, we got 6 hours of good riding. So even if we have 1 hour of terrible riding, it's not too bad. All right. So the abandon option. So if a cyclist needs to abandon the tour and they need to be placed in the support vehicle until the end of the ride that day, we will do our best to accommodate a return trip to Dallas before the end of the tour. So what I mean by this is that if someone says, "Oh, I just can't make it," we'll give them an option. Hey, do you want to stay on with the support team or do you want to go back? And if they say, "I really want to go back," then we're going to try to do our best to get them back. There's no guarantee, but we're going to try to do our best to get them back before the end of the tour. Transportation will be provided back to Dallas after the tour if needed. So if some people are staying at general conference session, then there's no need for them to go back. If they're going to stay until Sunday, then there's no need for them to go back. What we're going to do is we arrive on a Thursday. We'll pay for a hotel double occupancy for Friday. So we'll allow you to stay over till Friday. If you need transportation back, then one of the vehicles that will be one of our support vehicles, it will be going back to Dallas, and you'll ride back with that. If you're staying until Sunday, we're paying. When you register, it includes one night after the event. We're not going to pay for you to stay till Sunday with your family and go to the Riverwalk. We're not going to do that. So we'll pay for the one night, and that's it. Any questions on that? All right. So what does registration look like? Here's registration. So it's at Eventbrite. When you log in or you go to the Eventbrite page or the conference website and you click on the ticket there, it looks like this. And we're going to talk about all of these options. Now, this looks really, 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 really confusing. It's not. So the first point is if someone wants to donate to this cause. So if you have someone that wants to donate to the cause, they just want to, say, hey, I really want to support it, and I just want to give money to it. Then they'll choose this one. If someone wants to actually sponsor you, so in other words, you contacted someone and they say, hey, yeah, I want to give you $100 towards your thing. Is there a way I can do it online? Right here, it's called ePledge Rider Sponsorship. They'll go in and they'll put the amount here, and once they do that, when they go down here to click order, the next thing that will happen is let me see if I can demonstrate it here. So I'll put $50. Okay. When I hit order, it's going to take me to the next screen and it's going to ask these questions, put my credit card information on here, go here. And there is, okay, it's missing. All right. So there is going to be a question that's going to say, who do you want to sponsor? And it'll be the individual's name that will go there. So it'll be your name that will go there. Let me make sure I didn't put these things backwards. So it'll be your name that will go there. Let's see. Nope, I didn't. Okay. So your name will go there, and then once it's paid, it'll automatically flag towards your registration fee. And so we'll fix that. We'll put that part in there where you'll be able to direct people to this website. And if you, even though it's a long URL and you may not remember it all, if you go to our website, mysouthwestregion.org/Tour de Youth 2015, there is a ticket that says Eventbrite, and it'll be a countdown, and you click on that, it says register. All right. I see your hand. Yes, sir. Pastor Ming?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
You can only have one sponsor, or you can have as many as you want.
You have as many as you like. What I'm going to do is when we're done with this, I'm going to put this on here. Each sponsor and what we encourage people to do, and actually on our website, on that same mysouthwestregion.org /Tour de Youth 2015, there's a sponsorship letter in which you can take that letter, change it, put your name on it, and send it out to individuals. You can send it to as many people as you like, as many sponsors you like. Once they go on this website and they put the amount that they want to give, it will, put your name, it goes towards your registration fee. And I encourage you, if you get sponsors, send it out to everyone. If you get more than the requirement for the registration, that's great. That's great, because it's only helping us for our cause. And it's never, we will never have enough. I'll put it that way.
Okay.
All right. So you can have as many sponsors as you like.
Okay. So what's the fee that you have to pay?
We're gonna talk about that in like one. Let me get back to my presentation. That should be coming up next. So that's the registration. Okay. Who can get involved? All right. So really quick before we actually get into the cost. All right. So 18 years old, good health, passionate for the cause. Must have a road bike, not a mountain bike, an endurance bike preferably, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. Logging your training journals. So in other words, you need to have some way of proving that you actually did training, either through Strava, Garmin, Map My Ride, etc. Whatever program you want to use, all of them pretty much offer the opportunity to export the training that you've done. And it's just basically the history of what you've actually done. And I encourage you, if you don't have anything, and you want to do it even for running, because you could put that in there, running as well as riding, I would recommend using Strava. It's free. And it records it as a GPS built into you, and you just download the app for your phone and go from there. And then there's the sponsorship, secure sponsorship, and pay for the registration fee. All right, so really quick on endurance bikes, you're looking at a bike range between about $1,500 and $3,500. And you want an endurance bike. You don't want a Walmart bike. You don't want a Target bike. Go to a bike shop, tell them what you're doing, and then ask them to give you a good endurance bike. And if they're going to say, is this just for this event? And you're going to say, no, because I have 258 days and I need training for it. So I need a good bike. I need a bike that I'm going to be able to wake up the next morning and do it all over again. They're the experts in it, and they'll point you in the right direction. I just did a little quick Google search, and I found that good endurance bikes between $1,500 and $3,500. You could do like some people and actually go on Craigslist and find a bike on Craigslist, but make sure, it's important that you know your size. So go to a bike shop first and let them size you. Even if you don't buy a bike, say, hey, I'm looking for a bike. What kind of bike do you think I need? What size do you think I need? And they'll size you. Like depending on the type of bike I ride, I'm a 58 or a 60. So I know that. So if I go on Craigslist and I'm looking for a good endurance bike, I can say 50 or 60 centimeters is what I'm looking for. Bam, that's the bike I need. Don't just get any bike, because you'll pay for it if you get a bike too small and a bike too big. So go to a bike shop, get sized up, find the size that you need, and then if you want to search for a used bike on Craigslist, you know, by all means, they will be cheaper. Um, right now is the best time to buy a bike, because at the end of the year they're getting new bikes in, and so they try to get rid of the old bikes of last year and the year before. So this is a good time to actually do it. Um, all right, so what is the cost? So $450 is the cost for the full registration fee. What does it cover? It covers your insurance, your meals, your snacks, your lodging, your support, and also you get this beautiful medal that we're working on. That's actually a picture of a mock of the medal, and this is not just some cheesy little medal that you get. So $225 of that goes towards your participation, and then the second part goes toward the Worthy Student Scholarship. So even as a participant rider, you're still supporting the cause. You're still supporting the cause. Some people say, well, wait up, and if I don't want to support the cause, then you probably don't want to ride with us, because we're doing this for a cause. We're not doing this just because we're crazy and we want to go through the heat and the hills. We're doing it for a cause. Anything like the MS-150 for muscular cirrhosis, or Live Strong, or cancer, all of those, they all do it this way. You pay the registration fee, part of it goes towards research, part of it goes towards the cause, part of it goes towards whatever. So that's what we're doing. And you know, some people will say, well, you know, $450 is a lot of money. It's a lot of money. It may be when you look at it, but you're on a bike for 5 days. Someone's cooking for you. Your insurance, you know, up to $50,000 of insurance. You're getting some nice little goodies. You're staying in a hotel. You're getting some snacks on the bike. You're getting support from nurses and doctors, or if need be. So, yeah, and you're helping a good cause. So $450 is not a whole lot of money, because actually it's still subsidized. We're still trying to subsidize a part of this. So we want individuals to be a part of it, but we also want to have a commitment from individuals. So that's the full registration fee for the 5 days. Then there is the $350 2-day route. So in other words, someone says, you know what? I can't do the first day, or I can't do the last day, or I can't do the last 2 days. I only want to do this part. So here's what it costs: $350. Half of it goes towards the same things. The other half goes toward the Worthy Students Scholarship. And then there is the 1 day. I can only do 1 day. I'm only going to get up and ride with you guys for 100 miles, or whatever whatever the 1 day they choose. It's $175. $100 covers their insurance, their meals, their snacks, and their supports, and you get the medal. And the other part of it goes towards Worthy Student Scholarship. So if someone just wants to ride for 1 day with us early in the morning and get everything that as if they were riding the whole time, it's $100. That covers their insurance and all of the other things that are in it. All right. And then there is the team ride. So it's a 1 day, 5 members of your team, $400. It's less than $100 per rider. And it's $200 covers the insurance, the meals, the snacks, support, middle, and all of that. And then $200 goes toward the Worthy Students account. If this team raises more money, if they raise $20,000, they're only paying $400 for it, and the rest is going towards the wonderful cause of Worthy Student accounts. Worthy Student scholarships. All right. Any questions on that? All right. Well, these are some of our sponsors that we have so far. Notably, the one that I'm really happy that they're on board with us is Road ID. Anyone that's a cyclist or runner knows what Road ID is. And if you want information on Road ID, just shoot me an email. I'll send you some information on Road ID. They're one of our partners, so they're supplying us with some neat little number bibs, and giving out some gift cards that we can give out to some winners of certain races, parts of it, or whatever. So they also are registering us on their website. So we're glad to have them as a sponsor. So that's a plus. We also have youth ministries, we have family ministries, we have the union, we also have Southwest Region Conference, of course, our department, the communication department, and we have family life and Adventist education. All right. Any questions about that? Now, here we go. So, want to share this with you. We do have a jersey. It's a pretty jersey, isn't it? We designed this jersey. It's not fully done yet because we have to put all of our sponsors on there. But this is the mock of what it looks like. The front of it, and then the back of it. It doesn't. Those pointy things are not. That's just the back of it. So don't think of it as it's like a sleeveless thing. So it's a lightweight summer jersey. So the one that's right here is the jersey part. So that is $65 to $75. And this is something that when we open the store, we'll let everybody know. You go in and buy your own jersey. And I think it's about 5 to 6 weeks you'll receive it. Now a kit is roughly going to be probably about $165. And the kit is the other side. When you see the bottom part of it as well. Those are the bib or the shorts that will come with it. And that's what the shorts are going to look like. It says Team Southwest on the bottom, and it has the logos. And so if you want the whole kit, that's what it's going to look like. Our colors are orange, royal, and sky blue. And so we wanted something that's cool enough, light enough, and someone could see us a long way off. So if you want to accessorize and get something that to match orange, you cannot go wrong with orange. Those are our colors out. That's our main standout color is the orange. So if you want to get an orange helmet, like I think I want to get an orange helmet, orange shoes, those kind of things. Hey, accessorize all, knock yourself out. But we will let you know when the actual store will open, and then you'll be able to go in and make your selections. Now, one of the things that I want to let you know is that we have to have a minimum of 10 orders or 10 items. So a jersey top and a bottom is considered 1 and 2. So if there's only a few people that want to get something, then we're not going to open a store because we actually pay to open the store, and we subsidize part of it, and then you pay the remaining part of it. All right. Any questions on the jerseys? I think there's some really nice jerseys. I don't know about you, but we spent quite a bit of hours working on that. But I think they are really nice jerseys. Yes, sir. Pastor Ming first. I saw your hand. Let me unmute you there. Yes, sir. Pastor Ming. There you go. You're unmuted. Okay, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Yes.
Right. We're going to be riding for like 4 or 5 days or somewhere thereabout. How many jerseys do you get? Like one, or is it like for the 4 days?
You get as many as you want to buy.
Okay, but this price that says kit costs only come with one.
Yeah, the kit is a top and a bottom. That's the kit.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah, I mean, if you want to get, you can knock yourself out and get as many as you like.
Okay. So you would recommend then that people probably get, so if they don't want to get like 4 jerseys, because it's probably going to be hard to put it back on after you wear it for 1 day. It's going to be pretty sweaty for the next day or something like that, or there will be a way to wash it or whatever. I don't know. You normally do that.
Yeah, I'm going to let Pastor Sanders talk to this because he said something a few months ago to me about when they actually did the 5-state ride, that they actually had jerseys, and he told me a very interesting way to actually wash your jersey and have it ready for the next day. Pastor Sanders, you want to share with everyone how you guys did that? It was almost 20 years ago.
No, it wasn't that long ago. Yeah, but the technique is, even if you only had one jersey, they're such lightweight that you can wash it out at the night, and then it will be dry in the morning. What you would simply do, use the hotel shampoo, wash out the arms mainly, and then take the jersey once you wash it out and rinse it out, and wrap it in your towel and just squeeze it and turn it, roll it up and then twist it. And once you do that, the jersey is practically dry then. And
Hmm.
so you hang it up, and in the morning it is completely dry because of the material of which it's made of. And the same way with the shorts. Sometimes it's a little bit more difficult, but usually I recommend that you get two shorts. And then the night before you wash out the one, and then in the morning it's usually dry as well.
Yeah. Now
Okay,
go ahead.
but you can also wear it wet too if you want, right?
I wouldn't do that. That
Well,
the
the chamois material is designed to wick away sweat. So, but you once you turn it inside out, put it in the towel and twist it, it
Hmm.
will be dry in the morning. I guarantee you. And not only that, you have a hair dryer,
Mhm.
and so you can blow dry it with a hair dryer if it's not completely dry. But I've never had a case where it did not dry the night before.
Yeah. The other thing is that this is another option that you guys may want to think about is that if you're actually getting sponsorship, um, you send out a letter saying that you want to raise a certain amount of money. You're sending it out to 50 people, just like you're on a mission trip. It's 50 people, and if you get in, let's say it covers your $450, and then all of a sudden you may get another $200 in, you could actually request, can I get that towards a jersey, or can I get that towards a kit? And you know, if we're in a good position, which I don't see why we would not be, I think it would be best. We might actually be able to allow that to even happen, where the money that you're raising is going towards you for your, the things that you need. Um, you could even go as far as to say, you know what? I found a bike. A bike is about, it's about $2,000. I want to go find a sponsor that's going to sponsor me to pay for the bike. Whatever. Be creative as you like. But we want to make sure that if you do raise the money and you do bring that money in, and you want to use it to buy a jersey or a kit, I don't see why we couldn't allow that to happen. Now, if you say you want to buy 12 of them, that may be a different story. But if you say you want to buy a kit and a jersey through the sponsorship, then sure, and then you can buy another one on your own, then that's fine. The other thing that you could do is if you just want to get the top jersey, you can get two top jerseys, and you can just get a plain black or whatever color you choose, probably black or orange bottom, or you can go to a bike shop and get it, or you can order it online. That may be a little bit cheaper. I would recommend, and this is what I would recommend that you have at least two jerseys. If you can't really afford it and you only want to do one, then that's fine. As we get closer to the event, because we need to get this stuff at least 2 months before the event, as so like March or something like that. If you're getting one jersey and you say, hey, Pastor Dixon, do you think there's any money that you might be able to sponsor me for another jersey? We could look at it then, because I'm trying to do my best to raise enough money to cover as much as I can to help individuals out. So, we'll try to see what we can do. I thought I saw another hand. Ruth, was your hand? Did you had a question?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
I just was wondering if there will be available for women as well.
Yeah, they are.
Okay.
They will look the same way, but the way we design them, we basically design them for the Champion store, and then we tell them, when you go into the Champion store, there'll be a code that you will use, and then in that store itself, you could choose the type of a cut you want. So it'll be woman's cut or man's cut, and Champion is really good about doing those things. So you could choose that once you go in there. Now, we're not doing socks and gloves and arm warmers. We may do long sleeves in case you want to get something for the winter, but we're trying to make it affordable so that if individuals do buy something, that it's something that they can have and enjoy. We don't want to keep buying, you have to make this and make that and nobody buys it. So we will definitely have women's cut as well.
Awesome. Thank you.
And whatever you do, when you do go into the store to order it, once it's up, make sure you get I mean, not winter. Make sure you get summer cut, and endurance summer cut, because it's going to be cooler. And look for the temperature, because we're trying to get the temperature grade on these jerseys to be, I think, from 90 degrees to 100 and something degrees. So it'll keep you nice and cool. It'll keep you nice and cool. All right. We're almost done. Just want to share with you just here's some of the marketing things that we have. We've got some posters, we've got some flyers that we're putting in all of the churches that we're giving to individuals. I put them in the bike shops around here. So when someone uses this code on their phone, it'll take them directly to the registration spot. If you would like some posters, I can email you these. The posters are 11 by 17. If you want the flyers, which is 8.5 by 11, I can email them to you, or you can go to our website and download them. It's a PDF, and you can print them at your leisure. And it has all the information on there. I encourage you, all of you, I encourage you to go to individuals, doctors, lawyers, anyone, and ask them, hey, I'm doing this ride. Would you be willing to sponsor? And if they say yes, and they say, you know what, can I give, can I give $5,000 towards the event? If they say something like that, say yes. And they say, well, what do I get? Send me an email and I'll send you the package, a sponsorship package, because we do have business sponsorship packets. So all of these sponsors that you see down at the bottom have given a certain amount of money. That's why their logo is on our jersey. If they didn't give any money, their logo doesn't go on our jersey. It doesn't go on our flyers. We just say thank you. Or if they have not given us any product, then we just say thank you. But if they have given us money and are giving us a product to help us for the event, we put their logo out there. It's free advertisement for them. I mean, they're going to spend a bunch of money on advertising. We try to do it for free, and we'll be riding for 300 plus miles. People will be looking at it. People will be asking questions. We come into GC, 100,000 people. People going to look at our jersey and say, hey, I didn't know they sponsored it. And they may, get a couple $1,000s from, someone seeing their logo on our jersey. All right. So where do we find all of these resources? It's on our website, mysouthwestregion.org/Tour de Youth 2015. That's where you'll find most of the information. We kind of update it. We kind of go in, we take stuff off, we add stuff on. And so that this webinar that we're recording right now, it will also be on the website. So if you forgot something or whatever, you can go back and listen to the recordings of it, and we'll be able to answer the questions. Here's my contact information. If you have any questions, please feel free to give me a call, tweet me, send me an email, hit me on Facebook. However you need to get in touch with me, by all means. We're excited about this event. We know that the Lord is going to bless us. It's not going to be easy, but helping our children is never really easy, but it sure is a lot of fun. And so that's one of the things that we want to do. We want to ride for the future of our youth. We want to ride for the future of their health, their education. We want to ride to the future of all of our health and our education as well. So if there are any questions, feel free. I hope I've been able to address some of the things, some of the questions that you may have had that was swirling in your mind about what this event is all about. Do you want to get involved in it? We're here as a team. We're here to help each other, and I'm excited, and I hope all of you will jump on board. You may know someone who's a cyclist who wants a great challenge. Hey, tell them about this. Send them the information, and we would love to have them. Now, we will close registration in April. We will not have this thing go on indefinitely. So it will close in April. Yes, Jennifer, you have your hand up. Are you there, Jennifer?
Oh, yes, I'm
Okay.
here.
Okay.
I was just wondering, right now I just have a mountain bike, so for training, would that help? Because I know that road bikes are a lot lighter to train on that, and then if it's possible to get one of the others to be able to do this, would that be a little bit more helpful? And as far as, because I've got hills. I'm in Northwest Arkansas, but some of the things you were saying as far as training and stuff, the weight
Yeah.
of the bike will help. Or
Well, I'll tell you this. If you do train with a mountain bike, I would recommend that sometime, I'm going to say February, March, you may want to get your hands on a road bike, because you want to have at least at least 2 months of being on a road bike, being comfortable with the road bike. It is a lot lighter, so your mountain bike will help you because a lot of cyclists, they cross train during the winter. They actually go to a mountain bike, and they go through the mud and all of these different things, and because it's really helpful for them. But you want to make sure that when the spring comes back around and you're able to really go outside and get nice long rides in, you want to make sure that you do have a road bike then. But a mountain bike definitely will help you. It's better than nothing, and matter of fact, it's way better than nothing because it's actually something that will get you in the right direction as long as you're doing the hills, as long as you're pressing through those. But you're going to find that as you transition off of the mountain bike onto the road bike, you're going to go a lot faster because the wheels are smaller and the bike is much lighter. And at the same time, excuse me, you want to make sure that as you're training, you're eating properly. Your body to your weight to power ratio is good. In other words, as you start losing weight, you're going to gain muscle, and so that same muscle that was pushing you at a certain weight, when you lose that weight, is going to be pushing you faster at a smaller weight. And I found that out is that my speed got quicker as I started losing weight. And it's inevitable. If you ride 3 to 4 days a week, you're going to lose. You're going to lose weight. But it's going to build into muscle. On our website, we have a training program that comes from one of the coaches. I think it was the Garmin coaches, and it's basically being able to do 100 miles in 8 weeks. If you follow that, it starts off really simple, like I think about 10 miles or something like that, real easy, no hills, no resistance, and then by week 8, you're able to do 100 miles. So if you follow that, you will be ready for it. You will be ready for it. And once again, I think that as you start getting closer to the event, the excitement is going to happen. But make sure you can secure a road bike, either through sponsorship or however means you can, and start training on it, because you don't want to get into June and you haven't gotten on a bike yet, a road bike yet. So I hope that answered your question.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. All right. Are there any other questions? Ruth, was that okay? Go ahead, Ruth.
Yes, sir. Just to have this clear, I don't have to pay right away as I register, right?
You don't have to pay. Oh man, there's an echo. You don't have to pay right away. Let me go back to and show you. Um, okay, so on the website, there's actually, if you wanted to pay, and I had to update this, but if you wanted to pay $55 a month, it's probably less now because we've kind of gotten far into it. You could actually do that. You could pay monthly on here, and I think on here, let me see, let me go through this. You can, oh yeah, here it is right here. So you can actually, the ticket will go towards you. You put your name there, um, and there's a waiver form, and you just fill out, and you do that, however many times you want to do it, 12 times or whatever the case may be, to cover their costs. So, but you don't want to get to the part where um, we're down to February and you haven't registered, because we're going to shut it down in April.
I mean, I know I have to register, but since we're going to look for sponsors, and so I don't have to be giving the money right away because I'm going to look for sponsors.
No, you don't. You're right.
To raise, right?
No, you're right. You're right on that.
Okay.
And even if you get down to April and we're about to close it, but yet you say that you've got several sponsors that have agreed to do it, we can hold it open. The only reason why we have to close it at a certain time is because we've got to get a list of participants into risk management for insurance. And once we get that list in, that's it. That's the only individuals that they're covering. And so we want to make sure we get that list in on time, because then they'll send us back our binder so that we can have it with us as we travel.
Hey Ken, this is Juan, Ruth's husband. How you doing?
Yes, sir, man. How are you doing?
Doing great. got a question for you. So I've been making some noise and trying to get more people, to know about the event and bring them in.
Uh-huh.
And there's several groups and kind of clubs that I think if we reach out, they might be very interested in doing with us.
Okay.
So I have one question, right? Because, for people who are regular writers, right, that are used to writing at, so what is the expectation in terms of the ride? Are you guys expecting to have like just a big group stick together Oh, you guys already talked about this. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. My wife said they already talked about this. I apologize.
Just got here.
Well, let me answer that. Just because you asked. They're always going to be the rabbits, and they're always going to be the I'm not gonna say the tortoises, because if we have a tortoise, that tortoise probably needs to get in one of the support vehicles. Um, but what we're planning on doing is we're planning on having sprint zones and king of the mountains, so that when individuals are together, they can actually sprint for those things and get the points for the day. Um, king of the mountain, or for the sprint zones. We don't want everyone to be necessarily congested together, but we also don't want them to be spread out by miles, because we're going as an organized group. The municipalities in which we're traveling through are expecting us to be in some sort of organization. So if we're spread out by 5 miles, then that might be an issue with them. They don't necessarily have an issue if we're kind of closely together. In other words, if we're within 1,000 yards or something like that together, then they may not have an issue with it. There'll be probably areas in which we can go and say, hey, all right, we're 20 miles from the next town, go. And they end up taking off and going there, and there's a vehicle that can go with it, because a vehicle has to stay with them in case something happens, because that's part of our insurance. Did that make sense?
That's fine. That's fine. Maybe there could be some meeting points where you can go on certain segments, right, and then we'll regroup in certain areas and go through the key places together or something like that.
Yeah, as long as there is a vehicle that's with them, because we have to have someone with them in a vehicle, not on a bike, just to keep them together. So in other words, if the pace vehicle in the front takes off and the individuals go, and that pace vehicle stays with them, in other words, the front vehicle stays with them, then that's fine. But some vehicle has to be with them that has someone in there in case something happens.
Yep. Fair enough.
Alrighty. But we don't want to stifle anyone else. Someone wants to go out there and kill themselves in that heat, and they're excited about it. Great. We just want to be able to put them in a vehicle and take them where they need to go afterwards, and give them an IV or something. All right, Pastor Ming, I see your hand up.
Yes, two questions real quickly. Number one, how do I know when I'm doing well? How many miles do I need to cover per hour to know that I'm actually training well and I'm getting ready? That's question number one. And question number two, suppose you have someone who wants to be a part of just the support group, like they want to travel in the bus or a car or something like that. How do you go about doing those?
Okay, good question. Let me answer the second question first. To be in the support, we pretty much have everyone in support vehicles. We have nurses, we have a chef, we have drivers. So we don't necessarily have a groupie. In other words, there's not someone that's just like, hey, I just want to tag along. There's a purpose for everyone, because we're paying for their hotel.
Okay.
So that part is already taken care of. So how do you know where you are? One of the best ways you can tell where you are is how long you're able to stay in the saddle. So in other words, how long you're able to ride. If you're able to ride for 3 hours and you're feeling really good at a really good pace, and when I mean good pace, the only way you can tell that is you've got to ask yourself, are you pushing yourself? I can't tell you. So for me, I know if I'm ready to do a long ride or not. So let me give you an example. If you're able to keep a steady pace of 17 to 19 miles an hour over the course of 3 hours, you're doing all right. If you're able to keep a pace of 10 miles for 3 hours, you have some work to do.
Okay.
And since you're in Louisiana, it's going to be difficult for you to get to the hill part. I would recommend, once again, you got your overpasses, you've got your wind. I would recommend going and really doing some strength training, because hills are different than they're way different than flats. We had some guys come from Houston. There are no hills in Houston, but they can go really good on the flat. But when they got to the hills, it's terrible. I mean, it's totally different on hills. So I would recommend maybe once a month finding a place, and I think Pastor Davis has a place in Baton Rouge area where he can go where there's some hills. I
Okay.
recommend maybe once a month you two just tag out to that place and just do some
Mhm.
hill repeats. Um,
Okay.
and because I talked to him about this as well, and I told him, I said,
Mhm.
man, you've got to get to some hills, because if you don't get to them hills,
Mhm.
woo, it's gonna be
Okay.
ugly. So, but you'll know as you're getting faster and stronger, you'll know.
Okay.
But you got to make sure that you maintain a certain level and try to push past that. So if your goal is to get 18 miles an hour, let that be your goal, and then ask someone at a bike shop, how do I get
Mhm.
to it? Read about it, Google it. How do I increase my speed? How do I strengthen it? How do I stretch? How do I eat?
Okay.
Asking all of those questions will get you where you need to be. Um,
All right.
all right. And
Thank you.
you're a lot younger than I am, so you will probably do very
I
well.
don't think so. I don't think so, Doc.
All right. We have about 3 minutes left. Are there any more questions? And once again, if I haven't been able to answer any question that you have, or something came up and later on and you need to ask me, by all means, give me a call, shoot me an email, and we'll try to address it. And we're going to update our website and our ticket site to make sure that it reflects everything that we've kind of talked about. So give us a couple days in which to do that. All right. If there are no other questions, I want to thank all of you for taking the time. Please spread the word. Even if you're not sure if you're going to ride, or you're saying I don't really want to ride, uh, you know, but you know people who are willing to support this cause, tell them to get in touch with us. We'll send them a package, because we want to have sponsorship. We want to have people on board, and we want to drum up the interest on this, so that there's a buzz. So as we go into GC, people know who we are as we're riding in. They say, hey, those are those crazy people that rode from Dallas to San Antonio for their young people. So we want to be those individuals. So without further ado, um, Pastor Sanders, do you have anything that you would like to share before we close?
I know I'm just excited about the participation that we had tonight, and I want to thank Pastor Dixon for all the hard work he has done thus far in preparing this event. This is a major event, and it takes a whole lot of planning. So we want you to continue praying for him and myself as well as we move towards the completion of it.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, sir. All right. Let's go ahead and have a word of prayer, and then we will be done. Let's pray. Father in heaven, Lord, we thank you once again for this great opportunity to push ourselves for our young people. We know that it's not going to be easy. We know that there are some even tonight that may be a little concerned, maybe a little worried, maybe a little hesitant about getting involved in it. They may be even a little scared, Lord. But we just know that when we do things for you, that you will give us the strength, you'll give us the ability to push forward, and to shine, and to be successful. Lord, we will start this thing together as a team, and we will end this thing together as a team. Lord, this none of us are professional riders, but we're doing it because number one, we love our young people. We love to live healthier lives, and we also want to reflect you in all that we do and say. Thank you once again. I want to thank all of those that are on the call and on the video for this webinar. We ask that you would continue to be with them, give them point them in the right direction to the sponsorships if necessary, so that this will be very successful, and that we will look back on this and we say, hey, when's the next time we're going to do this? We thank you for all that you do for us. We pray this in your name. Amen. All right, everyone. I want to thank you once again, and also just want to let you know that we're probably going to have another webinar, informational webinar, this one just like this, probably next month. So if someone missed it, just look for our email. We'll send an email out. It'll be the same webinar, so you don't necessarily have to jump on board with it. All right, one more question before we go. As the oh no, you're welcome, Jennifer. It was my pleasure. Thank all of you for joining us. And once again, if you have any questions, shoot me an email, give me a call, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. You guys have a good evening, and remember, keep riding, because when you ride for the future of someone else. Thank you, guys.